Hello and welcome to Super-Yacht-Stories. These stories are from when I worked as a sailor on various super yachts around the world. These stories are entirely true. The names of those involved have been changed to protect the guilty and the innocent alike. Everything else is as it happened. The names of boats and crew cannot be divulged for obvious reasons. This story is titled The Ghost in the Crewhouse. The following story takes place in a crew house that I stayed in a few times in Antibes in the south of France. A crew house is like a hostel where yacht crew and sailors can sleep for a reasonable price. Typically, you sleep in a dormitory with bunk beds, which may be single sex, however, most are mixed sex. One evening, I was sitting on my bunk, the lower of the two bunk beds, and the girl on the bed opposite me told me that something strange had happened to her. For the sake of the story, let's call her Sharon. To be honest, I was a big skeptic, but I listened intently to her story about what had gone on with her recently and in the past. Earlier today, she said, I was relaxing and looking at photos on Facebook when my hairbrush, which was on my bedside table next to me, began to move on its own. It didn't move far, but began to vibrate and then started to rotate a little bit. Oh, really? I said, trying to keep the skepticism from my voice. I'm not a big believer in paranormal, so I didn't really believe what I was being told. Yes, I promise it's true. It's not the weirdest thing that's happened to me either, she continued, sensing that I was a little bit skeptical. Whenever anybody takes a photo of me, there's always a round orb of light behind or next to me in the picture, she carried on. That sounds a little bit strange, I replied in a cynical manner, making less of an effort to sound that as if I believed her. I swear it's true. Let me show you some photos on my phone to prove it. She proceeded to open her phone and scroll through to find some photos. It didn't take long for her to identify the photo she was looking for, and she got up from the bed and passed the phone over to me so I could look. There were just two normal photos of her with other people in a bar and in a restaurant. Both of these photos included a round orb of light just beside her. Everyone in the photo was smiling and looked to be having fun. Nothing else looked out of the ordinary. That's interesting, I said, giving the phone back to her. I tried to sound as convinced as possible. However, I thought it was just a weird trick of the light or the camera lens maybe. I gave the phone back to her and didn't give it much more thought. A few days later, in the afternoon, I was sitting on the sofa in the lounge and dining area, minding my own business and reading a book. From my position on the sofa, I could see into the hallway, which included the front door, about 8 meters opposite me. The bedroom was on the left-hand side of the hallway, and the bathroom was on the right-hand side of the hallway, and the front door was in the middle. Now and again, people came in and out of the bedroom or came in through the lounge area to reach the kitchen behind me. About half an hour later, Sharon walked in through the front door and into the bedroom. I looked up from my book and could clearly see it was her. As soon as she reached the bedroom, a book from the middle of the bookshelf next to the front door shot across the hall and bounced off the wall opposite. I was quite taken aback by what I had just witnessed. I put my book down on the sofa and walked over to the front door and the bookshelf. There was clearly a space in the middle of the bookshelf where this book had once been. I went over and picked the book up from the floor, looking for any line or wire or anything that would make it behave in such a peculiar way. Then I knocked on the door of the bedroom, just in case she was changing, before entering and asking if Sharon had seen what had just happened. No, I've never looked at any of those books on the bookshelf, and I've only just got home from work just now, she said. To be honest, I was quite shocked and confused by what I had just seen. But no one else had witnessed this, therefore I went out of the bedroom and placed the book back in the space on the bookshelf and went back to reading on the sofa. That evening I did tell a few people about the weird thing that I had seen, but most people were very skeptical and cynical about what I told them, just like I would have been. The next day I was standing outside the front door and smoking a cigarette and enjoying the Mediterranean sunshine. The front door was south facing and got a lot of afternoon sun, which is why it had become a great smoking spot for us. One of the people who had just got home from work was Sharon, and she was in the bathroom while a number of other people were in the bedroom getting changed for the evening. Once she had finished using the bathroom, she walked straight ahead to the bedroom and past the front door on the right hand side and began talking to the people in there. However, as soon as she left the bathroom, the lid of a small stainless steel flip-top bin that was just under the sink flew off and bounced noisily across the tiled bathroom floor. Hearing this, I extinguished my cigarette and went into the bathroom to see what all the noise was about. Finding the metal bin lid halfway across the tiled floor, I began to think this was a little bit strange. Thinking there must be a logical explanation for this, I left it where it was and went into the bedroom and asked Sharon some questions. "You were just in the bathroom, right, Sharon?" I inquired. "Yes, that's right. Why are you asking such weird questions?" she replied. "Did you use the bin or put anything in the bin before you came out?" "No, I just went in there to wash my hands and that's all I did," she replied. "Why do you ask?" "The lid of the bin just came loose and flew across the room on its own. As you know, I'm quite skeptical about these things. However, I'm getting the feeling this place might be haunted," I replied. Sharon then agreed with me. "I told you the other day that there were some weird things going on, and now you believe me." This was the story about the ghost in the Crewhouse. All the weird events happened in the day and in daylight hours, and no, I wasn't drunk for any of them. I've always been rather cynical and skeptical and a non-believer, but after seeing such weird things happen, I definitely think ghosts may exist, and weird things certainly happen around that girl, Sharon. Thank you very much for listening. I hope you enjoyed the story. Please don't forget to subscribe and like this particular story, and more stories will be on their way soon.